Hi friends, in this video you will see question from PAPERS-KOM for your TS Genco E examination to be conducted on 31st March. In a 4-bar chain, it is required to give an oscillatory motion to the follower for a continuous rotation of the crank. For the lengths of 50 mm of crank and 70 mm of the follower, determine the theoretical maximum length of the coupler. The minimum length of the coupler will be, it will be slightly more than 45 mm. It will be slightly more than 45 mm. There are two class 1, class 2 4-bar mechanisms depending upon whether the sum of the largest and smallest lengths of is equal to the sum of the lengths of the other two links. The natural frequency of the, so from that you can get the link length. The natural frequency of free torsional vibrations of shaft is equal to torsional stiffness Q and I is equal to mass moment of inertia. The rule of mass moment of inertia is played by mass in case of a linear motion, mass moment of inertia in case of angular motion, and torsional stiffness is equal to torque per unit angular deflection. Something like a linear stiffness is equal to force required per unit linear deflection. So the answer here is 1 by 2 by root of Q by I, root of Q by I. Next, the tractive force will be equal to 1 minus C, C fraction of reciprocating parts per cylinder, mass of reciprocating parts M, omega angular speed of the crank, or radius of crank, theta angle of inclination of the crank to the line of stroke. It is equal to C. 1 minus C into mr omega square with the description cos theta minus sin theta. When the primary direct crank of reciprocating engine makes an angle theta with the line of stroke, then the secondary direct crank angle will make an angle of 2 theta double. Primary and secondary will be double than the primary forces and secondary forces. Okay, so what is that primary force and secondary force? Mr omega square. Total reciprocating force is equal to mr omega square into cos theta plus cos 2 theta by n. N is equal to L by R ratio, connecting rod length by crank radius ratio. So 2 theta, you can see that secondary forces will be having double the frequency. The lower pair is a closed pair. The lower pair is a closed pair. The purpose of a link is to do all of them. Transmit motion, guide the links, act as a support and everything. In Mayer's expansion valve, the expansion valve is driven by an eccentric having an angle of advance from EIT to 90 degrees. EIT to 90 degrees. In Mayer's expansion valve, the main valve is driven by an eccentric having an angle of advance from 25 to 30 degrees. 25 to 30 degrees. The angle of inclination of the plane at which the body begins to move down the plane is called angle of repose. Angle of repose should be equal to angle of friction. What is the angle of friction? Angle of friction is equal to mu. Mu is equal to tan phi, where phi is the angle of friction. Mu is equal to tan phi. Phi is the angle of friction, and alpha is the inclination of the plane with the horizontal. So phi should be equal to alpha. So alpha should be equal to phi. If alpha is more than phi, the plane on the inclined surface will move down the plane. But that angle is called angle of repose. The radial distance of a tooth from the pitch circle to the bottom of the tooth is called dedendum. Top of the tooth is called addendum. Addendum plus dedendum is equal to working depth or sometimes total depth, depending upon whether you are considering the 2 gears, okay, or for a single gear. That means gear and pinion or only single gear. Which of the following is used to control the speed of variations of the engine causing the fluctuations of the engine turning movement? It should be flywheel. It should be a flywheel. Governor has a range of speed over which the prime mover can be controlled. Governor function. Flywheel have both similarities and some differences. Please go through that very carefully. During a revolution, the speed is controlled by the flywheel, but whereas there is a range of speed for the governor over which the fuel supply is controlled, so that the prime mover speed is also controlled depending upon the load. If the load increases, once again the fuel supply will be more. If the load decreases, fuel supply will be decreased by a small mechanical link opening and closing. The displacement of the slide valve is dash the steam lap by a distance known as lead of the valve. It is greater than. It is greater than. In which of the following type of gear train the first gear and last gear are coaxial? It is a reverted gear train. They are used on the clocks. Reverted gear train. Compound gear train, we are going to have large ratio within small space. Compound gear train is used, and in which middle shafts will be carrying more than one gear. Simple gear trains, each shaft will have only one gear. They will be coming in mesh. To obviate axial thrust, following gear drive is used. It is double helical gears having opposite teeth. Because of the opposite teeth, the thrust will be balanced. There is no resulting thrust. They are used in turbines, shafts. A point on a connecting link, excluding the endpoints of a double-sided tank mechanism, traces a. This is a good question, friends. It is elliptical path. Elliptical path. The Ackermann steering gear mechanism is preferred to the Davis steering gear mechanism because there is a comparison. There are 3 or 4 points of comparison between these two steering gears. Please go through them. But basically, it has both advantages. Ackermann steering gear consists of turning pairs. Ackermann steering gear is most economical. Because of this, it is mostly used compared to the Davis steering gear. Maximum fluctuation of energy of in flywheel is equal to I mass moment of inertia, E maximum fluctuation of energy, C coefficient of fluctuation of speed. Mean angular speed is equal to W1 plus W2 by 2. Maximum speed W1, minimum speed W2. So this is given by all of the above. All of them will give the same thing. What is that? It is going to give, all three will going to give maximum fluctuation of energy. Rotational kinetic energy, you can say that, okay? So that is equal to half E is equal to half I moment of inertia of the flywheel, omega 1 square minus omega 2 square. Omega 1 is the maximum speed, omega 2 is the minimum speed. The gear train usually employed in clocks, a reverted gear train. Just now I was referring to, friends. It is reverted gear train. Reverted gear train. The method of direct and reverse cranks is used in engines for what purpose? It is for balancing of forces and couples, both. Sometimes forces are only balanced, sometimes for complete balancing of the mechanical parts. Okay, so our engines, both forces and couples, unbalanced forces and unbalanced couples shall be balanced for complete balance. Rectilinear motion of piston is converted into rotary by, what is this? It is by Schrader crank. Schrader crank. Right. The factor which affects the critical speed of the shaft is all of them are going to affect the critical speed. What is the critical speed, by the way? It is the speed at which the deflection of the shaft over which the rotating element is mounted is incredibly high, and it is going to cause the mechanical failure of the shafts, and which is going to lead to accidents and a lot of loss of property and human life also. So it is all of these: diameter of the disc, span of the shaft, eccentricity of the rotor. Span of the shaft means the length between the bearings, and diameter of the disc. For example, it could be flywheel, etc. Gear, like that. Clean construction is useful to determine what? It's a good question, friends. Clean construction is basically used for acceleration of the various parts. Acceleration of the various parts. Displacement, velocity, and acceleration. But acceleration, basically, it is drawn for finding out the acceleration of the various rings of the mechanism. A rigid body possesses how many degrees of freedom? 6 degrees of freedom. Actually 12, but one direction is not considered. Out of the left and right, only one is considered. Like that, we have 6, 3 rotary and 3 translatory. In higher pairs, the relative motion is, it is combination of turning and sliding. A Hartnell governor is what? It is basically a spring-loaded governor. Spring-loaded governor. Hartnell governor and Hartung governor is also there. They are all spring-loaded governors. What is the meaning of spring-loaded? The controlling force is given by the spring force. Disturbing force is given by the rotating centrifugal force. So they have to be balanced. Disturbing force should be equal to balancing force. Disturbing force due to the rotation of the balls, and controlling force is the spring force in case of Hartnell or Hartung governor. In case of Porter and other governors, what governors? It is the weight of the weight of the balls, mass of the balls, and hence weight of the balls, and also other things mounted center part. Pulley in a belt drive acts as what? It is going to act as a rolling pair. Rolling pair, turning pair, sliding pair. So please concentrate on them. Which of the following statement is correct? Let us see this. It is the periodic time of a particle moving with simple harmonic motion is the time taken by the particle for one complete oscillation. One complete oscillation. Which of the following statement is correct? It is the B. The primary unbalanced force is maximum twice in one revolution of the crank. In one revolution of the crank. Primary unbalanced force is equal to mr omega square into cos theta. Theta is the angle moved from the center by the crank from its horizontal position. Which of the following statement is correct? Let us see the answer. It is D. That is all of the above. What is this? For constant velocity ratio, the transmission between the two gears, the common normal at the point of contact must always pass through the fixed point on the line joining the centers of rotation of gears. It is called law of correct gearing. For involute gears, the pressure angle changes with change in center distance between the gears. Epicyclic gear trains involves rotation of at least one gear axis about the other gear axis. He has compared the gear trains, gears, and also what is this? Inline theorem, that is called correct condition or the condition for correct gearing. So he has given all of them. All of them are correct. Which of the following statement is correct? Let us see the answer. It is D. What is this? The power absorbed in operating the piston valve is less than D-side valve. The wear of the piston valve is less than the wear of the D-side valve. The D-side valve is also called outside admission valve. So all of them are correct. In a vibrating system, if the actual damping coefficient is 40 Newton per meter per second and the critical damping coefficient is 420 Newton per meter per second, then the logarithmic decrement equal to, there is some relationship between these two parameters, logarithmic decrement and the ratio, amplitude ratio. So you have to check and you have to apply the logarithms and get the answer. So after doing that, you are going to get the answer. See point 6. In underdamped vibrating system, if x1, x2 are the successive values of the amplitude on the same side of the mean position, then the logarithm decrement is equal to ln e x1 by x2. ln e x1 by x2. Sorry, log x1 by x2. ln means natural logarithm or e means natural logarithm, but here you have to take the base 10. That's the correct answer. Log x1 by x2. So don't confuse between natural logarithm and base 10 logarithm. Decimal logarithm. The two parallel and coplanar shafts are connected by gears having teeth parallel to the axis of the shaft. This arrangement is known as what? It is known as, it should be spur gearing. Spur gearing. Helical gearing, the tooth will be inclined to the axis of the shaft. Bevel gearing, there is an angle between the two shafts. Spiral gearing, non-coplanar and non-parallel shafts are used, are connected by such type of gears. The type of pair formed by two elements which are so connected that one is constant to turn or revolve about a fixed axis of the other element is known as, this should be turning pair. This should be turning pair. The velocity of any point in a mechanism relative to any other point on the mechanism on velocity polygon is represented by what? It is represented by joining the corresponding points. Joining the corresponding points. Which of the following property of the instantaneous center is correct? Let us see the answer. All of them. So what is that instantaneous center? It is the, what is instantaneous center? It is the, at that particular instant, the link is supposed to or appears to rotate about the point. That is called instantaneous centers. Number of instantaneous centers is equal to n into n minus 1 by 2, where n is the number of links in the mechanism. For example, 4 bar mechanism will have 4 into 3 by 2, 6 instantaneous centers. So here all of them are correct. A rigid link rotates instantaneously relative to another link at the instantaneous center for the configuration of the mechanism considered. The two rigid links have no linear velocity relative to each other at the instantaneous center. The velocity of the instantaneous center relative to any third rigid link is same, where the instantaneous center is regarded as a point on the first rigid link or the second rigid link. So all of them are correct. The periodic time of a compound pendulum is dash when the distance between the point of suspension and the center of gravity is equal to the radius of gyration of the body about its center of gravity. It should be minimum. Compound pendulum and simple pendulums, you will get some questions. The pair is known as higher pair when the relative motion between the elements of the pair is what? It is partly turning and partly sliding. In order to give a complete secondary balance of multiple cylinder engine, so here both A and B, that is algebraic sum of secondary forces must be equal to 0. Algebraic sum of the couples about any point in the plane of the secondary forces must be equal to 0. Both A and B. In order to give a primary balance of the reciprocating parts of a multi-cylinder engine, so once again I think it should be C, both. Algebraic sum of the primary forces must be equal to 0. Algebraic sum of the couples about any point in the plane of the primary forces must be equal to 0. That means he is saying that primary forces and primary couples shall be balanced. Shall be balanced. Let us see some more questions. Idler pulley. What is the meaning? What is the use of idler pulley? It is basically for applying tension. So for changing the direction of the motion of the bed? No. For increasing the velocity ratio? No. Basically it is used for applying the tension. Applying the tension. Sense of a tangential acceleration of a link. These are good questions, friends. There are two accelerations. One is the tangential acceleration, other one the centripetal acceleration. It could be either the same or opposite to velocity. Either same or opposite to velocity. Perpendicular to the velocity is centripetal acceleration. When a point at the end of the link moves with constant angular velocity, its acceleration will have a radial component only. A radial component only. Tangential component. The sum of the algebraic sum of the radial component and tangential component is going to give the total acceleration of the link at any instant of time in a mechanism when it is transmitting motion. When a point moves along a straight line, its acceleration will have tangential acceleration only. When rotating, only centripetal acceleration. When having linear motion, it will have tangential component only along a straight line. For a kinematic chain to be considered a mechanism, one link should be fixed. Always one link should be fixed. By fixing one link at a time, we are going to get that many number of inversions. So, number of inversions for a kinematic mechanism or chain shall be equal to the number of links. Number of inversions is equal to number of links. In a simple train of wheels, the velocity ratio dash the intermediate wheels independent. It is independent. There will not any effect on the velocity ratio. What is the velocity ratio, by the way? Ratio of the driven link speed, rotational speed by driver speed. The power of a governor is equal to, in terms of those things, it is given by 4c square by 1 plus 2c m plus m into g into h. Height of the governor, c is the fraction, it should be 0.1, 0.2, 0.3 like that, and m, mass of the balls, m is the mass of the sleeve, capital M. Power of the governor. Power of the governor is energy. It is not. The power of the energy has the units of energy, not watts. It shall be joules only. It's a misnomer. Normally we think that power of the governor will be specified in watts, which are the units of power, but it is not so. It is only simply energy. So the power of the governor should be expressed always in joules, which is the unit of energy or work. According to Kennedys theorem, if three bodies move relative to each other, the instantaneous center will lie on a straight line. Shall lie on a straight line. Which gear is used for connecting two coplanar and intersecting shafts? It should be bevel gears. Helical gears, parallel shafts, but will have inclined teeth. Spur gears, parallel shafts, but have straight teeth. Bevel gears for connecting shafts which are disposed at some angle. They are the discs are the first half core in case of a bevel gear. In bevel gears having the angle between the shafts is equal to 90, they are called mitre gears. Mitre. What is that? Mitre. Mitre gears. In the below figure, something is given here like that, friends. So PC is the connecting rod and OC is the crank making angle theta with the line of stroke PO, and rotates with the uniform angular velocity at the omega radius per second. The Kleen's acceleration diagram. For determining the acceleration of the piston P is shown coordinated CQNO. The acceleration of the piston is dash when the crank OC and connecting rod PC are at right angles to each other. So let us see here, it is B0. It is B0. Why? A piston will have only linear motion. Alright. Friends, in this video we have seen 50 questions which are useful for your COM, kinematics of machinery, or TOM, theory of machines. So definitely, once again, you can expect 2 or 3 minimum questions from this particular topic out of 80 questions. So complete the syllabus for kinematics and machine also. We will see some more videos which are useful for you with explanations for your all TSPSC and APPC examinations. And I am providing online coaching for these competitive examinations. If you are interested, you can mail me or call me on the number and mail ID which I am providing in the description box. Let us meet in the next video.